welcome back to the Neurospiritual Awakening podcast with Dr. Val. And today I'm back with yet another incredible human being who has accepted my invitation to be on the podcast and share their awakening process, or at least one of them. Please welcome to the show, Mikel. I hope I'm pronouncing your first name correctly. If I'm not, you should definitely let me know. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, you pronounced it perfect. Perfect. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And it's just awesome to be able to share.
So good. And look, I know you're not new to this. I've kind of, stalked you on Instagram a little bit. Like I know you run either your own podcast or you do TV show. Like I know you've done this before, so I'm not worried in that sense. And of course, just so my listeners know, or our listeners know, that I don't really know you. And that's kind of exciting for me. I'm really excited about when I interview people that I don't personally know. My mom knows you, but she's kind of not told me much about you other than, you're great at what you do, which is a good rep already. Like, um,
Thank you to your mom. Well, I adore her. I think I met her I'm thinking, you're a Montrealer. Half Montrealer at heart, at least. I celebrate Canada Day. I have Canada Max Montreal T-shirts. I have Canada all over in my place. And I think I met her like somewhere between maybe 20 years ago. Like I'm thinking now it was 2005.
yeah.
So
Wow. Well,
we've around that time. So yeah, I really adore her, and it's just so nice to see, that you have a following, and the people, when you go back to the country, they want to be with you, and it's not just a clientele; it becomes part of your soul, part of your family, part of like the gang, and you see they saw me going through different aspects in my life and phases, and I saw her also. So that's kind of cool. Yeah.
it is very cool. And then there's what's to come, right? I'm very like future oriented. I mean, hey, I worry about the past a lot, but I kind of think about the future a lot too, as you would, but I'm kind of into that, you know?
You have to shut me off because I speak forever. Yeah.
Okay. No worries. I'm good at that. I'm pretty blunt, I'm Russian, so
Good.
it comes with with that. Um All right. Well, look, Mikhail, we kind of already dove into it, but would you like to introduce yourself? Tell me what it is that you do, who you are. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. And okay, I know a lot of people know about you, but I know nothing. So please tell me.
Thank you. Thank you. I am a medium. I am, they say, proof of survival medium or a born medium. But I'm also a psychologist. I studied a master's degree in psychotherapy, and I'm currently now studying a master's degree in clinical neuropsychology.
Yay! That's up my alley. That's up my alley as a neuroscientist. Yeah.
So when I got the invitation to come to this podcast, I was like, of course I'm going to say yes because your mom and your background and everything. But then I was, and also like in a way connecting with you through neuroscience, neuropsychology. But then I was concerned, like, what am I going to tell you? Because you know much more. But in the end, I think it's about connecting with people at a human level, and everybody can, um, in one way or another, see themselves in as you can see yourself in them. I always say that if we know where to look, there's always something beautiful. Like when people come to Spain and they say, "Oh, this city was so ugly, but Barcelona was lovely," and this and that, or I don't know, whatever. I always say there's always beauty if you know where to look. So I believe that with the human soul, with the people, with people, it's really the same. We go through different phases and aspects, but there's also struggle. And when you look at people in a different way and you treat them with compassion and with love, they open up, and you realize that we're all the same. We all have the same concerns, the same worries, the same issues at the end of the day. So I'm only human, Um, yeah. And you were mentioning, sorry. And I wanted to say that I took on psychology and master's degree, and then I specialized in suicidal behavior and helping those who had suicide in their family, because I think it's so harsh that what they go through when they lose a relative or a friend through suicide. Not only do they go through trauma and guilt, but they also have the um ostracism, you say it in English, um, um, and judgment, and we treat them like they were also they were somebody to blame, and they were also committing a crime. So I was always very interested in learning about bereavement therapy and helping people through their loss and their mourning process. But especially, I've always felt very drawn to what happens when you commit suicide, or when you go through suicide. I shouldn't say commit, because they're not committing a crime. And what happens to those who remain here, and what do they go through? And that was my major in when I took my degree and also my internship, because I'm a medium. I've never wanted this. I've never wanted to become a medium. Actually, growing up, it was very, very hard. And I used to pray. I'm very Roman Catholic. I come from a Roman Catholic family. So at night, we always, would say our prayers. And I remember being like 10, 12, and praying on my night prayers, like, take this away from me. Like, take it out. I don't want this anymore. Because I didn't understand the phenomena. And it's a gift. Mediumship, it's a gift, but it's also a capacity that you can learn. It's like a language, you can learn, you can improve it, and it has its own codes. So you can learn how to understand those codes, but it's something that is so alive that it keeps changing throughout your life. So it's not something I do 9 to 5 kind of. It's who I am. It's who I become. You know. But it was very, very hard for me being a child and seeing spirits, because of course it got to a point around the age of like 8 or 7, 8 or 9 ish, where I realized that not everybody could see what I was seeing, and that those people were somewhat different to those other people. Like, these friends are somewhat different to these other friends. Um, and that's when I realized that not everybody had the gift. But a spirit would come, and spirit would give me messages, and then when they came to happen, um, I would blame myself. I didn't understand the phenomena. I didn't know how to control it. And I thought that if I hadn't said that, if I hadn't given the message, if I hadn't said out loud the message that Spirit was giving me, it wouldn't have happened. So I was,
Mm.
in a way, blaming me because of whatever that happened. I had many, many stories. But yeah, I remember my mom's family I'm very close to. We are 23 first cousins who grew up together. Yeah. I
You're
mean,
talking to an only child, I hope you know. I'm like, "What?"
yeah,
But
my
yeah, keep
mom,
keep keep
yeah,
going.
yeah, yeah, my mom comes from a farm. So, of course, Friday afternoon, when my father was done working at the factory, we would go to the farm because they went there to help. And then my uncles and aunts would also go, and the children would go. So it was like a big, huge playground, even though there's age difference. And I remember it all started like like they dared me almost, like if you can see things, if this is true, why don't you prove it? Why don't you tell me something? Because most of my family thought, okay, this kid has a lot of imagination. This kid is making things up. He's very theatrical, And I remember there's two things that I remember at the farm actually. And many things have happened to me at the farm, probably because I was more free than in the village that I come from. Um, but I remember one time they dared me. Okay, if you're not making this up, who are you talking to? And I didn't know who they were, but I described the people, and one of the little girls that I was describing, they couldn't really grasp, they couldn't really understand who it was. My mom and my father could because this was somebody on my father's side of the family. But I described a lady, typical Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, bigger woman with her hair in a bun, with a black handkerchief, apron, everything, big woman. And they said, okay, but that could be anybody because at that time, it was very much like the norm. And I said, yeah, but she has two thumbs. She has six fingers in one hand. And this was my mom's grandmother, my great grandmother. I never met her. And there was a huge silence at the farm. There was huge, everybody went quiet. And somebody said, I don't remember who, probably my grandmother, who was very church and all that stuff. She said, oh, we have to pray. We have to pray. And we started praying. So I learned that whenever I was like insecure or not feeling okay about what I was about the information I was receiving, I should just pray. And
Mhm.
then I learned to change the discourse and to tell my parents while I was praying like to the Virgin Mary, I got the feeling that, and then they were okay with it because they thought the spirit could harm me, the spirit could hurt me, and yeah, and one of those times, one of my aunts, my mom's sister, wanted like a reading, and it was playful. Like I would use Spanish playing cards, or I would use little toys or coins that was spread on the table, and I would see things while moving them. I would see things around them, or in my head, or around the person. It wasn't really like reading cards. It was more like playing with something. And I think that that movement helped my intuitive mind come into action. So I remember telling my aunt, I was like 8-ish. And I remember telling her, she wanted to know about her future, her health, typical stuff. Her daughter, I think, was about to get married. And I said, well, I see your home black. And she was like, well, I need a coat of paint, but I wouldn't say black. I don't have mold or anything like that. I said, no, no, everything is black. All the walls, the ceiling, everything is black. And it's almost like it's falling down. I didn't know what it was, but that's how I was explaining it. Um, and then I heard a voice saying, but don't worry, we will send you money. So I just repeated it. I said, don't worry, we'll just give you money. So they were like, okay, this kid, whatever. Um, Maybe I was a bit older. I can't really remember. I could ask, but I don't remember. And a few months later, her home burnt down. Yeah,
Mm,
that was the black that I was seeing, like
mm.
falling down. Her home, the entire home burned down. There was an issue with the insurance. They couldn't find the papers. The insurance paid a little bit, but not enough. Like a year, not even a year after that fire, my uncle, my aunt's husband won the lottery. and it was a lot of money. He had 2 tickets with the same number, so
Oh
he had
my
a
gosh.
they
I
were
haven't
able
even
to.
heard of anyone I know winning the lottery.
Yeah,
Like,
my
what?
uncle did, and he was like he used to run, like, with cyclists, and they were, like, they had, like, I don't know how you call that, like, they chip in to buy a number, everybody will buy the same lottery number, and he felt like he needed to buy another one for himself, and he got 2 with the same number, and he got a lot of money at the time. They were able to fix that home and buy another home. So
Yay.
so spirit, and I've seen that quite often. Sometimes life takes something away from you, but then they reward you afterwards. Yeah. But as a medium, I've always seen the spirit. The spirit will give me information about future events that were happening to me, to my friends, my family, or in the world. Once I see spirit, l- I can say, no, I don't want to talk to you in a way. Like I try not to, it's hard to disconnect. So I try, like if I'm doing my groceries or something, not to pay much attention to that. Otherwise I will get crazy. So when the spirit approaches me, I can allow them to come closer. And that's when I start seeing them in a more clear way. And as I see them, I hear them and I feel their emotion, or I feel the way they passed away. Like if they had a heart attack, my heart hurts. Or if they had a lung cancer, I feel like I'm choking, like I can't breathe, and I see the lungs all like black. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, my
Wow.
mom, yeah, she's 87 now, my mom, but she sometimes would do public demos, and when they would see me giving messages in public demos, she would always think that something bad was going to end up happening to me because I feel it. I'm very kinesthetic. So it's like a three-way connection. I see, and once I allow that image to come closer, I hear and I feel. And I have friend of mine who is journalist. He always tells me, "Oh, Mikel, you're so brave. You're so forward. You're blunt. How can you say these things?" I'm like, I see them. How can I not? You know. And just yesterday, I was teaching a course for a group that I work with in Germany, and they're very rational. Maybe their rations aren't quite the same. No, they think, they sometimes they overthink, so they try to make sense about everything. And there was a student of mine who was trying to make sense of a message, and I explained and I try everybody to understand that we cannot process with our reason messages from the spirit world, because they may not make sense at this moment in our lives. I always say, you have a plan for your life, but life has a different plan for you. Because I've seen it so many times. Unthinkable things, or unplanned or impossible things to happen. It happened to me too. Like I've always wanted to go to North America. We used to watch those Beverly Hills and Melrose Place and those movies. So in my mind, it was California or maybe Miami. But I always wanted to go, and I used to look at the map and daydream about me going to North America. I never thought about Canada. Canada was not even in the picture, and now I adore it and I love it. It's my second home. And I used to think I'm never going to be able to go to North America because I didn't have the means, I didn't have the money. My family doesn't have a lot of money. They couldn't support me. So I was trying to, reason future events with my current situation. And that's what a lot of people often do with spirit messages. They overthink it and they analyze it, they scrutinize it with their current conditions. Spirit can do everything but fail. And I have this saying: Spirit works in the miracle working business 24/7, 365 days a year. And look, 2004, three really. I was given the opportunity to go to Canada, Montreal, in 2004 April. I went there for 6 months to a year, and I ended up staying 2.5 years. And funny enough, the money that I had planned out like for 8 months um, disappeared after my fourth month. So I just spirit prevailed. Spirit. Friends bought me winter clothes, and I would receive donations. You see, because excuse me, I'm not used to having the tax separately. In Canada, when you see something in the window, you see a price, but then when you go to the counter, it's plus tax. They add the
Yes,
tax.
lots of it.
Yeah, yeah, lots. In
Yep.
Quebec, I think it's a bit more. So in Spain, what you see in the window, that's the price that you end up paying. I miscalculated and I spent much more money than I was hoping for. But but it was incredible. I got my visas, my extensions, everything just flow. No, I say that was
Yeah.
flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and money came. I mean, I remember one time I got into the office where we used to work. It's a big house and the main floor, and somebody had left anonymously an envelope with
Hmm.
money for me, with a
Oh,
written note in French for you to eat well. And I think I know who this might be, but I'm not quite sure.
oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. So
So
let
when
me
you rely, a spirit always supports you. When something is supposed to happen, it does happen, no matter what, no matter how much you think about it. And sorry, I just forgot one thing. Going
no,
back
no,
to the
you
German
go.
example. Yeah, sorry. I talked too much, eh? Maybe
No,
going back
no,
to,
but you finish what you're saying. I mean, yeah, you do talk too much, but finish what you're saying, and then I'll ask you the question that I wanna ask. But it's
yeah,
interesting. Hey, if it wasn't interesting, I'd stop you 10 minutes ago, so
thank
keep
you, thank you. Yeah, going back to my German group, I had in this class I was talking about, I had a girl and she told me, she said, 6 years ago you gave me a message from a spirit. You said that I was going to separate from my husband and I was going to have a baby girl. I hated you for that because I was so happy with my husband and I promised myself and everybody around me and in my family that that was not never going to happen. And then it was an online class, and then she turns the camera and she shows me a cradle with a baby. And she told us now she has a new partner. So even if you think something is impossible, if a spirit says it's going to happen, it will happen. We don't know how, but they will make it happen.
So I get that. Like as a neuroscientist, I'm very aware of the limitations of the human brain and
You
what we
totally
think is, just like yourself, I could enumerate a number of situations in my life where it's like in my brain, I know that there's no way that is possible. And then, of course, something happens. And it's like I really have to reorganize, cause neuroplasticity in a way, right? Like
totally.
literally start to grow new neuronal pathways for
Yeah.
this new outcome. And
So we just
that's
yeah,
amazing.
we need to be open, just to be open, It's good to be a
Mhm.
skeptic. It's good to rely on science. Science, it's important. And it heals people. It saves lives. But there's more beyond science, Not
Cool.
everything, yeah, not everything can be measured with the scientific method. And sometimes it's us who limit ourselves. No, and then there's like those miracle making books um um now I don't remember the name of the book, but there was a very famous book. I don't remember. Basically saying that when you think something, if you really think hard, it will come to happen. But it's not about thinking, it's about your heart. It's about your emotion. If you ask the universe, the spirit world, oh, I would like to have a partner. Oh, I would like to, you know, do it with your heart. Put the emotion in it. And that's what creates miracles, really.
Mm, mm. I hear you. I hear you. I've got a bit of both going, but, I'm a neuroscientist. How can
Yeah,
I
but it's
not?
good to jiggle in between the two worlds because I think that we need both, and it's a good
Absolutely.
tandem.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you next. Why did you delve into psychology,
Mm,
anything neuro? Like, why that? Because, we obviously don't have the scope within this podcast to tell me your whole, like, what happened after. Like, how did you become you ultimately? But how did you, why psychology ultimately? And then,
yeah,
this suicide interest in
yeah.
people who are dealing with that.
As a medium, when I was given the opportunity to go to Canada, I was 23 years old and I was trained and I learned how to control this phenomena and not the phenomena control me and set up some boundaries and all of a sudden I started having a clientele because I never really wanted to be a medium. I tried to be a journalist, a translator, a linguistic, all kinds of things. Never a medium, and I there was a time where I tried to bury it, but the more you try to the harder you try to bury it, the stronger that it will come back. So it was like bouncing back at me. But when I came back home from Canada, I had a very bad car accident. I was on sick leave at home. Somebody, I don't know, rang my doorbell and she asked me for a reading. Funny enough, now when I think back, I don't understand how I wasn't even like afraid. That person showing up at my door. How did she know my address? How did she? I don't know. So I was like, wearing that collar thing that you wear after the accident, and I was wearing my pajamas, and it was a very rainy day, heavy rain. She was standing there and she was asking for a reading. I was like, no, like, look at me now. It was like 5 p.m. in the evening. She's like, yeah, I came from far. And so I gave her the reading, and then she brought her sister, and her sister brought her husband, the husband brought her his cousin. So all of a sudden, I started having people over at home for readings. So when after my sick leave, when it was my time to go back to work, I just resigned because I already and I knew this was my path. I knew this was my time. I was like 28, 29 at the time. It was a leap of faith also, to quit a steady job. And I could have kept it as a day job, but no, I knew I had to do this full time. And I had like lots of people already coming to me and I started teaching, etc. So I did realize that those who are coming to me for readings, they're mourning, they're grieving, and most of them, some of them, they want to know about their partnership or if they're going to have kids, whatever. But most of the people who come seeking the help of a medium, they need solace. They're mourning, they're grieving. So I thought, let me just study psychology so I can have more tools, so I can help them better, and I can serve them in a better way. I was also feeling I didn't have any degrees. I didn't finish any of those studies that I told you before. So I was also feeling that from the European government, something will come that could harm and restrict my job if I didn't have like a proper degree. And it didn't happen actually. That happened. Not
Mm,
maybe at the European level, more in the Spain level, but I was safe because I had my degree. But my main interest was um, having more tools to help and be able to help and serve people better, and also, sometimes have the knowledge to redirect those patients to somebody else. Maybe it's not me that who they need, you
yeah.
know. And
Let me just hold on
yeah,
one sec. The
yeah.
person I had right before you on the last episode is a psychologist as well. She works in a different field altogether, okay? She works in MK Ultra and SRA, satanic ritual abuse. So she works with victims of that. And we
Mm.
were talking about the importance of grounding when you do spiritual work. So I can literally hear you say, literally you applying yourself to this very 3D I mean, neuroscience is more 3D based than psychology, I get it. But, psychology nonetheless, it's like it's a process that requires us to look at our own wounds, do our
Totally.
own healing, and that's what I appreciate about you saying that because, in this day and age, there's so many people getting like a 2-minute degree and then calling themselves a
Exactly.
healer, and it's just completely messy, inappropriate, and damaging. So,
And
I just wanted to
dangerous,
say it's
dangerous.
super down.
When people come to us, they come with a wounded heart and with a lot of need. And depending on how you treat them, how you deal with them, how you word out the messages, you can help a lot, but you can also hurt and damage a lot. We have to be careful. And I always tell that to my students, work on yourself. Work on your own issues before sitting in front of anybody else. Work on yourself first. Look at yourself in the mirror. That's very, very important. And I'm kind of pissed that when I see now so many mediums show up on the internet and on the social media, and everybody seems to be a medium. It took me like, I'm gonna say, like almost 10 years of training to like really start doing this professionally, and I didn't even look for it. Like, it came to me. This woman showed up at my door, and almost like a life's dedication. So it's not something we should take lightly. The spirit world, it's fun, it's loving, they will help you, they will support you, but it's not to be taken lightly, you know and grounding, that's also very important. That's another thing I tell my students. If you, because some people think, okay, if I'm meditating more, if I become a vegetarian, if I fast for 25 days, then I'm going to be more spiritual. In a way, that's the spiritual ego. I'm going to be more spiritual than you. No, but a lot of people think that if they like alienate themselves from like the mundane, more mundane hobbies or facts, they're going to be more spiritual. They're going to be more pure. But we live in the world. We need the mundane. We need the mundane um, um, treats as well. So a glass of wine here and there, and walk on the mountains. And I always tell my students, don't, because some people do that. Oh, they spend the day meditate and they spend the day praying, but they don't ground. So I always tell them, if you meditate half an hour, you need to ground for an hour. Walk barefoot, or whatever you want to do, jump or do exercise, workout, or go to the mountains. But we cannot do without grounding. That's very important. And I've seen people. This is very, very sad. The mind is very tricky, and the mind is fragile. And I've seen people who were very sensitive. They had amazing skills as mediums, as psychics. They had an amazing sensitivity, but they didn't take care they didn't properly take care of their own body, of their own physical selves. And I've seen a few actually have psychotic breaks.
Mm.
And
Yes,
it's the frontier between the psychic phenomena and the psychosis is very, very, very thin. So we need to drink water, eat, rest, sleep properly, and enjoy the gifts that life has to give to us, because that's one of the reasons why we came to the earth in the right measure, and everything it's the right measure. But I've seen some people, lose literally their minds because they didn't take proper care of themselves, and that's sad.
it is. Me too. I have definitely seen people in psychosis, and it's yeah, it's
Sad,
it's
yeah.
it it's
They
it is
will like
sad.
eat maybe like raw I don't know, beans or whatever, or not eat anything and meditate for hours and don't sleep. And the mind is tricky. We have to be careful with that.
That's right, biology, and then that turns into all sorts of things for sure. So, from what you're saying, I know I kind of asked you about how you got into well, anyway, you answered my question, but so now I have this next question. From what I can hear is you're teaching now as well. So you're like doing psychology, you've written a book, you're a medium, and you're teaching. What don't
Yeah.
you do? But tell me more about that.
Yeah. I started teaching in the year 2008. I taught before in Canada, but it was like part of my training, not professionally. 2008, I started teaching. I started an institute because precisely what you just said, I could see a lot of people doing like a 2-minute workshop or buying an online whatever, and then they would open their own studio or their own office, and it's very damaging. And they would say crazy things like instead of saying, "Oh, you have anxiety," saying, "Oh, you have a spell." And so I thought, okay, let's create like a school where I can teach people what I know, and at least if they have a sensitivity, if they have intuition, if they have a calling, they can be trained properly. At the time, I was the only one in Spain that I know of that I was doing it. And a lot of the things we had to like translate and kind of get done on the go, but it was fun. Also from a spirit because I told a bunch of friends, "Oh, I think I'm going to teach about what I used to do in Canada and then England." Also, I went to take workshops, and all of a sudden, I had like 3 or 4 groups. People started calling me, and that was my aim, for people to have the knowledge, the skills, the professionalism, the background that they need. Okay, if you want to do this, let me at least tell you what I know and how I will do it, so you have tools, and we try to dignify a little bit this profession.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so thankful, grateful that you've done that and that you're doing that because it's so,
Thank
so
you.
required. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. And
It's it's
yeah,
honorable, we should honor this. This is something that it's a beautiful gift, and we should treasure it. It's not something we should take lightly.
mm, I hear that. I definitely hear that. Yeah. Wow. Okay. And what do you see? I mean, you're passionate about everything you do, I imagine, but what's like another passion of yours that you want to express on the podcast? Or what is it like, you've done what you've done. What's next? Or like, what now what? Or like that. Or maybe not. Maybe,
Well,
you know what? I'm going to continue doing this because this is my life's purpose.
yeah,
Well,
I know this is my life mission. I tried quitting. I tried not accepting it. I tried being something else, becoming somebody else, but it's always comes back and in a stronger way. What I want to do, I travel quite a lot, but I want to do that more. I want to travel more, do more like lectures, public demos, and workshops. But I love it when it's public demos because you got like 100 people in the room, and the energy is so thrilling. And all over the world, you find different people, and being able to tell the world, that we don't die, that we continue living after the change we call death. And that's I see myself doing that more. I writing more, maybe some more, I don't know, maybe some documentaries, something. And then my passion, absolutely, like my biggest passion in my life, is dogs, my dogs. I want to be with them even more, half the time. But traveling definitely, and public demos definitely, because you can help. a larger amount of people in a shorter time.
Totally, I'm all about that as well. It's one to many. It's so
Yeah,
impactful. It's like I'm a group person as well. I so get what you're saying. Oh, wow. Well, which is part of, why I do the podcast, because then you can make it
sure.
makes it available to everyone. Like,
Right.
so many people can benefit. It's amazing.
And
Um,
nowadays, online, you have the world.
I know. I know. Is is that one of
I'm
your dogs?
yeah, I'm trying to show her to you, but she's sleeping.
Oh my
Sleeping. Hi.
Oh, hi. She's still, like, asleep. Hi there. Oh, hi. Hola.
She's
Hi.
a dachshund. Yeah, whenever I sit here at this table, this is where I teach online, where I do my online readings. She sits under my chair. She lies under my chair and she snores.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow, well, she's adorable. Look at
Yeah,
her.
my passion, my doggies. They're little angels.
I love it. I love that. Yeah. Beings all around. Beings all around. Beautiful. Well, look, I actually have no more questions for you, believe it or not. We've covered a lot of ground, and yeah, it's just been an absolute pleasure and privilege to speak with you and hear about your process and what you've been up to. I find it very valuable, and I just hope that you know, you continue to impact as many people as possible.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity for opening this huge window to the world. And I hope people were able to understand a little bit about my process and what really mediumship is. It's a gift, but it's also an ability, and we can all, at least to a certain degree, learn how to develop it. So this is not something exclusive to a very few people. You can also learn that. So you just have to be open to being open and understand your own codes, your own ways of doing it.
Mm. Yeah. No two people are alike. That's right. There's as
No,
many
no, no,
worlds
no.
as there are people. It's
Yes.
incredible. Aw, thank you. And if people want to find you, where can they find you? I'll put it in the show notes.
Sure. The easiest way I think is my website. It's my name, MikelLizarralde.com. And then you can find the links and everything to my social media and everything.
Yeah, totally. Okay, I'll put that all in. Well, again, Mikel, thank you so much. Thanks to the listeners. If you're if you're enjoying the podcast, you should definitely like, subscribe, share, contribute to someone else's process of awakening. But thank you so much, you and your beautiful doggy. Bye for
Thank
now.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.